This week on the Analog Circle podcast, more layoffs hit the gaming industry and several development teams have been affected. Xbox is finally selling a custom Xbox Series X, and I will say this thing is not, I repeat, it is not cheap. Respawn Entertainment is allegedly working on a TitanFall-esque type of game. And I say esque because when we get to this story, it leaves it a little iffy on if it's a Titanfall game or not. And WB Games are shifting their focus and reassessing some things for better or worse. And I say for better or worse because when I go over this story with you guys, it is probably going to have you scratching your head like it had me scratching mine. But anyway, all of these stories can be found here and many more in episode 199 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and welcome to the show. So great to have you guys here. Now, it's two people I want to shout out before we get the show started. First off, I want to shout out to Crimson Phoenix. Shout out to you, brother, for not only emailing the show, but also calling. And I'm giving you my word, we are going to go over both of those in the very, very near future. I promise you, brother. And also, I want to shout out to Mike J for the kind words, brother. I really, really appreciate that. And it was on the interview that took place with Liam Brown, Mr. Liam Brown, who is he's in the esports realm. He dropped a lot of very, very good knowledge, very interesting knowledge as well about the esports scene. So if you have been interested in esports, trying to figure out how you could get into it, how you could actually join a team, and some of the parameters of things that take place in that world of gaming, you can definitely check out that interview. It was a fun time. Shout out to Liam Brown for actually being a guest and wanting to be on. I greatly appreciated his time. And we covered quite a few bases. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and let's get into what we all come here for. And that is the gaming news that went down. Man, I just butchered the whole show. Let's just move on, man. Let's get into this first story that I actually got from Gaming Bible. So let's start things off this week with a smaller story, but the results of this small story leave big questions on the table. So we got word this week, well, this was last week actually, that Pentiment will be running at 120 frames per second on the PlayStation 5. But the Series X version at the time when it was released on that console, it was running at 60 frames per second. Now, this got some people to thinking, does this mean other games that come to the PlayStation 5 will be better, what's the word? Optimized. Good grief, I got tongue-tied like a but they're asking the question, will they be better optimized when it comes to the PlayStation 5? And I know that some people will say that the director of Pentiment, his name is Josh Sawyer, he did come out and he did give a statement. And the statement that he said this on Twitter. He said, quote, 120 frames per second will be enabled for Xbox in the next patch. It being disabled is just a bug. End of quote. Wait a minute, Josh. Sorry. Hold on, man. So it was okay. It was just fine. They were fine and dandy with the Xbox version running at 60 frames per second. Now, granted, hold on. Let's get things in perspective first. Okay. Now, any of you guys that have seen Pentiment, dog, Pentiment is not a great looker, okay? It's not going to set the gaming streets on fire when it comes to graphics, okay? It's not going to do that at all. But when you look at it, good grief. I mean, God, dog, all you can say is it's really like a picture book. I mean, it's a moving slightly picture book. So graphically, it's not going to do too much, but it is the principle. It's the principle, Smokey. It's the principle, Josh. Here it is. You release a game, and this is a bit of the kick, a little bit of the kick in the shins, as it were, man. You know, when you get hit in the shins, that stuff hurts, brother. This is the kick. You are a first-party studio, Josh Sawyer, first party. And your first outing, or not his first outing, we know that they were third party at one point in time, but officially their first outing onto another platform, a rival platform being in PlayStation, first time under Microsoft, that is. You go out the gate and you give, God, dog, you give PlayStation the best version. 120 frames per second, and you sit there and you know that the Xbox version is GIMP pretty much because of a doggone, what did he say again? It was a daggone, it was disabled because of a darn, a darn bug. So now it's like, oh, okay, well, we're running at 120 frames on the PlayStation. I guess we got to address this so-called bug on the Xbox to make that run at 120 frames per second. God, dog, Josh. And then you wonder why people are wondering, man, if Hi-Fi Rush, oh, that's going to be a day. If Hi-Fi Rush comes out running at 120, oh, man, if Hi-Fi Rush comes out on the PlayStation 5, it's going to be releasing later on this month, and they say that thing is running at 120 frames, man, Xbox fans are going to have a conniption out here, as they should. It's no way that the rival console should be doing better than you. And it's your first party team. This is going to be so interesting. And I think from this point on, people are going to be looking at the PlayStation 5's version with bifocals on. They're going to want to see everything that's going on when you compare it to the Xbox version. So hopefully, I'm hoping that this was just a one-off and that games that are coming from Xbox studios or first-party studios that are under Xbox, I'm hoping that this will not become a trend where they will start to see that, oh man, they always get the best versions on PlayStation. Then it would really be a question. Do I really need an Xbox? Oh man, I ain't going to get into that. I ain't going to get into that, part of it. Like, man, do I really need an Xbox? Yeah, you do, because you're not going to be able to play these games day one on PlayStation 5. You're not going to be playing, I don't know, for an example, I can't see them putting Doom on PlayStation 5. Then again, I don't know. That was always third party. So, it's going to be interesting. If you have a dual release, let's just say, okay, Doom, some of the games that have already been third party, let's say Xbox, they keep those third party day and date. They are day and date on other platforms and PlayStation as well. Could you imagine the outrage, the anger, the saltiness if Doom releases on both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X at the same time, and the better version is the PlayStation 5 version? Golly. Oh, that's going to be a day. I'm looking forward to it. I'm terrible. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love the back and forth. I want to get the best version. So I want to see these jokers go head to head. I mean, Xbox, this is what you want to do. You want to put certain games on other platforms. Man, just if you're going to do it, Xbox, then doggone, don't embarrass yourself. Whoo, don't embarrass yourself and have your studio doing a better job on the rival platform. God darn. We shall see. This is going to be interesting times. Hey, Hi-Fi Rush, I'm looking at you, buddy. I'm going to pick you up day one. I can't wait to see what Digital Foundry says. about dog on Hi-Fi Rush. Golly, 120 frames per second coming soon. I don't know that for sure, man. Anyway, let's move on to the next story, guy dog, and let's go. So this next story I got from Forbes. So now, well, this is bad. So let's get into some very unfortunate PlayStation news. Sony announced, this was last Tuesday, that they would be laying off 8% of PlayStation employees around the globe, coming out to 900 people. Now, they also said PlayStation's London studio will close entirely. Dag, rest in peace to the doggone getaway. That never happened. Golly, I think the closest game that we got was Blood and Truth, and you could only play that on PSVR. And I bought that game, and I'm looking at my PlayStation VR right now as it's unopened in the box, and golly, seems like their hopes and dreams might have pretty much died with Blood and Truth for that studio. It's very, very sad, man, to see them go. So they closed entirely, and yeah, it says that they were working on several VR titles at the time before they got shut down, but pretty much sure that those unfortunately will not see the light of day. Fire Sprite, the studio behind Horizon Call of the Mountain, they're going to see reductions and layoffs. They're going to see reductions, but layoffs are going to hit Guerrilla Games, Naughty Dog, and doggone Insomniac. How you going to put layoffs on Insomniac, PlayStation? I mean, golly. I mean, look, maybe I'm a little biased. I can tell you guys, I'm biased towards Naughty Dog and I'm biased towards Insomniac. Insomniac more so than Naughty Dog because Insomniac has been on an unprecedented run with the amount of games that they have brought out, with the quality of games that they've also brought to the table, and the short amount of time that they've done it in. I mean, Spider-Man from 2018, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and then Spider-Man 2 just releasing last year. I mean, dag, man, we just don't see that out of a AAA development studio. And for all of that hard work, you're going to lay off some of those guys? Man, I would think that they would have, at least out of all the teams, they could have, well, I would have thought they would have been the team that would have been the most safe, because they have produced more than any of these other teams combined over the last couple of years, since 2018 to 2024. Well, I'll say 2023 because 2023 just ended. They released like 5 titles over that last 5 years, from 2018, 19, 21, 2, 3. Yeah, they released Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, Spider-Man 2018, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man Miles Morales. So four titles in a 5-year period. That's undarn real. And these guys are getting laid off. That's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Nobody is safe out here. But let's continue with this report. According to a report from VGC, 10% of Guerrilla Games staff is being cut, coming out to 40 people out of the 400 that will unfortunately be losing their jobs. Guerrilla Games, I'm also a big fan of theirs as well. Horizon Forbidden West was unbelievable. I mean, a graphical powerhouse, a great game too, but golly, 40 people being cut from their studio as well. We also got word though, PlayStation studio boss Herman Hulse, he actually had some very telling comments on this situation, where he said, quote, "We looked at our studios and our portfolio, evaluating projects in various stages of development, and have decided that some of those projects will not move forward." So we got canceled projects as well. He says, "I want to be clear that the decision to stop work on these projects is not a reflection on the talent or passion of the team members." End of quote. Doggone. So some of these projects, I mean, we saw it early with Naughty Dog when it came down to The Last of Us, the factions. They said, look, either we could have stuck with that or we would have had to have canceled it and went back to what we actually do. So they actually canceled it, and they're doing what they normally would do. I mean, right now, Neil Druckmann, it's interesting. Neil Druckmann has said quite a few things over the last week or so. In one interview, I think he was being interviewed by Logic, the rapper, where he said that he doesn't know how many of these projects he has left. He's kind of looking at it like his career may be coming to an end, in the next couple of years, because he's like, this job is stressful. And he just doesn't know how many more of these he can do, like another Last of Us Part 2, something on the lines of that level. He just doesn't know, how many more of those he can crank out in a certain amount of time before he's ready to leave. Him and Cory Barlog said the same thing. Cory Barlog said, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in the industry. He's getting tired as well. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of, look, these teams, they've actually had some games or some projects actually fall to the wayside. They won't be picked back up. They're losing staff, 900 people. I'm thinking about it from the standpoint of these veterans that have been in the industry for a long time, like Cory Barlog, like Neil Druckmann. When you start shrinking these teams, I just can't help but to think that if you lose enough people, even on a very talented, extremely talented studio level, I mean, we're talking about like Insomniac, Guerrilla Games, and Naughty Dog. If you start losing enough talent and I'm not saying that this is happening, but with these layoffs, there are going to be certain key members, I'm sure, that could possibly be cut, especially when you're talking about trying to save money, because that seems to be Hiroki Totoki's main focus right now, is to save as much money as possible. And I'm sure that some of those positions, some of those developers, some of those senior guys could be making a hefty salary, and they should be making that because they're working extremely hard, but I'm thinking that if it gets to the point where you start losing some senior guys because they're trying to cut back on the price and trying to, save money, then that's going to have a very negative effect on quite a few of these studios when you start losing enough people, and then the quality suffers. So I'm hoping that it doesn't get to that point, but thinking about all of the burnout, the stress levels of the job, then you double that with losing people, having to make up for the jobs that were lost by you actually having to perform their job. Man, that's going to be a cluster. I mean, people are already mad about, crunch as it is. Even over at Rockstar, they're talking about they don't want to go back into the office because it's going to be a toxic environment. They already are fearing that crunch is going to happen and all of that stuff. So it's like it's going to be a hard work/life balancing act. I just hope that, again, it doesn't get to the point where it starts affecting projects and the quality really suffers. But we'll see, man. Let me finish up with this story because I do feel like I got kind of long-winded with this one. But it was another quote. The quote is PlayStation 5, and I believe this is from Herman Hulse. He says, quote, PlayStation 5 is in its fourth year, and we are at a stage where we need to step back and look at what our business needs. At the same time, our industry has experienced continuing and fundamental change, which affects how we all create and play games. End of quote. So what I would say to that is, pardon me. What I would say to that is, look, we all can see the changes in the industry. It's people are losing jobs at a gotta be a record-breaking numbers. Matter of fact, I'm going to look it up on Google. Hold on. How many people have lost their jobs in the gaming industry? So it says that 9,000 people lost their job. Hold on, here we go. 9,000 people lost their job in games. What's next for them? So what's the date on this? I want to make sure, because I'm trying to make sure that it's as accurate as. Okay, so this was 3 months ago that 9,000 people lost their job. Well, darn. Well, hold on. Well, how many lost their jobs this year? How many game developers lost their job in 2024?
According to Wikipedia, in 2024, Microsoft Gaming laid off the most workers, with 1,900 affected, followed by Unity Technologies with 1,800 staff, and Sony Interactive Entertainment with 900 staff. Additionally, over 8 studios laid off their entire staff and shut down.
Dad, gaming is in a bad spot. So you're talking about 2,000, 3,000, that's like 4,000 something jobs. And we're just in March. So, God darn it. The only thing I can say is, man, I just hope that things will stay on the up and up. Hopefully no more jobs will be lost, but I mean, that's just kind of unrealistic at this point in time. But we're gonna see what happens with this. We're gonna move on to the next story. Oh shucks. Well, darn. Got this one from Games Industry Biz, and I wrote this down. So, unfortunately, keeping with this layoff theme, Supermassive, the team behind Until Dawn and the Dark Anthologies, Pictures, I think that was the Dark Pictures game. They came out on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and said, quote, "It's no secret that the games industry is currently facing significant challenges, and unfortunately, we aren't immune to this. After much deliberation and with deep regret, we are therefore undertaking a reorganization of Supermassive Games. As a result, we are entering a period of consolation, which we anticipate will result in the loss of some of our colleagues. This is not a decision that's been taken lightly, with many efforts made to avoid this outcome." End of quote. So it looks like they're losing 90 jobs over there with that developer. I don't think that developer is very big either. So, man, matter of fact, let's look that up. Man, I owe y'all some time because I missed out last week. So we're going to be here for a little bit today. Excuse me. Let's see. How big is the gaming company Supermassive?
According to Supermassive Games, founded in 2008, the studio is now home to over 350 talented individuals working across a range of storytelling titles.
Oh, well, that big enough. 350, that's a pretty doggone big team. That's pretty hefty. Yeah, that's AAA quality. So, well, I mean, they're going to be losing about 90 of those. God, dog, that's going to take them well under 300. They're going to be in the twos, 2 and some change. So, yeah, like they said, they're not immune to it. PlayStation isn't immune to it. Microsoft isn't immune to it. EA isn't immune to it. God, dog. Yeah, it's a lot of companies out here. But anyway, look, I'm not going to get that long-winded, okay? We got to keep this thing doggone going. I'm depressing myself. What the heck am I doing? Let's move forward and let's get into the next story. Darn, Supermassive, I really hope you guys land on your feet. And they got Until Dawn remake coming out. Darn, man. Man, I'm going to tell you, man, the gaming industry ain't got no heart. No love. It's like you could think, okay, we got this new game coming. Well, it ain't new. Let's be fair. It's not new. But we got this remake we're going to be working on. Yeah, we're going to be busy. Yeah, we're going to have this thing coming back out looking all nice and great for the PlayStation 5. Thinking you got job security, and all of a sudden, hey. You know that remake Until Dawn? Yeah, some of y'all ain't going to make it to the end of that project. God, dog. Heartless. Oh, my gracious. Let's get into the next story, man. We got PlayStation. This came from PlayStation Lifestyle. So let me see. What is this story about? Oh, yeah. So we all know in this day and age, gaming budgets. I mean, we're talking about it, man. have ballooned out of control for games like Spider-Man 2, costing over $300 million for development and marketing, which that I ain't gonna lie, that's just absolutely doggone, that's crazy. They got to get a hold on that. But for me, I figured that this was only for single player campaign driven experiences that lasted around 25 to 30 hours because, of course, Spider-Man 2, that's one of those games, single player campaign, big budget. So I figured, okay, that's about where it ends when you're talking about these development costs ballooning out of control, going ridiculous, higher than blockbuster movies in Hollywood could ever be. So that's where I thought it ended. You got 25, 30 hours to play this game. Some games are lasting 50 hours. That's why they cost so much. Well, I mean, listen, man, I must say, I was taken aback when executive producer of Tekken 8, Katsuhiro Harada, man, I know I butchered that brother's name, but bear with me. Katsuhiro Harada. He said, and I quote, development costs are now 10 times more expensive than in the 90s and more than double or nearly triple the cost of Tekken 7. Now, he also said Tekken 8 is the first game to feature online play, which costs money to maintain and through microtransactions. I know some people hate that word, but through microtransactions, that helps to pay for patches and updates. And so far, the game has sold 2 million copies, which is really good. Tekken 8, 2 million copies. So to put these numbers in context, because I had to do a little bit of research here, 5 years ago, Harada posted on Reddit, quote, excuse me, it cost more than 50 million yen, or that equates to $480,000, to make a stage, and even more for a character. End of quote. 5 years ago. Did you hear that? It costs $480,000 to make one stage, or even more for a character. Man, god darn, goodness gracious. I would have never thought, and that's what I'm saying. In my mind, and pardon my sump pump, we got some rain today in Baltimore. Pardon it. But I was saying in my mind, it's no way that fighting games cost nearly as much as these single player experiences. I mean, you got a story. I understand Tekken 8 has a story as well. But you have a story. You have, you got big environments, depending on if it's an open world game, to actually travel through. You got various characters, like dozens of characters if you're doing a story that you got to render. With a fighting game, I'm like, nah, you ain't got to do all of that. But when I heard again, $480,000 to make one stage, a stage, I said, man, God, Doug, we are doomed. The gaming industry, goodness gracious, it's like when you hear those kind of numbers, and prayerfully we're not doomed. I hope I didn't mean that for real. But it's like when you hear those kind of numbers, though, it's like, God, dog, this is for a fighting game and it costs this much. I mean, you can kind of understand to a certain degree that, but not this much of a degree. This is absolutely nuts how many people are losing their job in the industry. But when you got those numbers, and that was 5 years ago. So he's talking about it's like double the cost of that. And that's, what are you talking about? What was his name again? I'm gonna find his name. The director, the producer, Katsuhiro Harada. So is he saying that today now that one stage almost costs $1 million to create? God, dog, he said he said the 90s, hold on. He said it's more expensive than in the 90s and more than double or nearly triple the cost of Tekken 7. So if we're even just saying double, so you're saying that a stage now, according to this gentleman, Mr. Harada, is $900,000 for one stage. Over $900,000, or that much for one character to be developed. God darn. Yeah, that's absolutely crazy, man. Lawrence Jones, man, shout out to you, brother. I know this is your game right here. Man, these jokers put up 5 bags for this one, brother. 500 bags. This game, I want to know, man, matter of fact, man, I got to see if I can find how much this game cost on Google. Let's see. How much was the development cost for Tekken 8? Oh, man, they just bringing up what Harada said. Harada said it cost more than 50 million. Yeah. We already know about that. Ah, man, it won't give us the numbers, but hey, man, we're going to stay tuned to see if one day, if we cannot see how much this game cost. Matter of fact, hold on. Let's try one more. Let's just try one more before we move to the next story. How much was the development cost for Street Fighter 6? Dang. Oh, okay, well, they said they won't give a price, but according to the website Event Hubs, it says you can't make a new fighting game for $10 million. Dang, yeah, not at those prices for stages and whatnot. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. Goodness gracious, a lot of darn money go around this mother lover. Goodness gracious. Let's get into the next story, man. So this next story, dog, Tekken 8, that's something else, man. Let's get on to this next story, though. Comic book. Got this from Comic Book. This was crazy. So in a move that I didn't see coming or really, know how I even feel about it, Toys for Bob has announced that they are going independent. Now, the studio wrote, quote, "We pioneered new IP and hardware technologies in Skylanders." Oh, yeah, that was definitely something back in the day. He says, "We raised the bar for best-in-class remasters and Spyro Reignited." That normally, hey, listen, I'm going to tell you something, brothers. Normally, if I had heard this, him saying that they raised the bar, for remasters, I'd have been like, hold on, slow your roll down, brother. Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4. Hold on. But I will say, though, I can't front, man. They definitely, hey, man, they did that thing on Spyro. I can't lie. Yeah, they did that thing on Reignited. Yeah, I can't even front. That trilogy is good, man. Oh, man. So he says, we've taken Crash Bandicoot to innovative, critically acclaimed new heights with the same enthusiasm and passion. We believe that now is the time to take the studio and our future games to the next level. This opportunity allows us to return to our roots of being a small and nimble studio. To make this news even more exciting, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft. And while we're in the early days of developing our next new game and a ways away from making any announcements, our team is excited to develop new stories, new characters, and new gameplay experiences. End of quote. Now, this was absolutely, I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of dashed a little bit of my dreams about a new Spyro actually releasing this year, because without Toys for Bob there, I don't know how that franchise is gonna fare. And in his words, not mine, he said that their next new game is a ways away, a ways from making any announcements. So that tells me that anything that they're working on right now, don't expect to hear anything for at least a year or two. I would say 2 years or so before we would hear anything. But I also found it interesting that Microsoft let them go. They told them, go on and get out of here. You got your freedom papers, get on and move on out. You can leave, which is interesting, man. I'll be honest, I don't know how I really feel. I was hoping with them being there. Again, it's not my type of game. I was never a fan of it, but Banjo-Kazooie, I would have thought that kind of game would have been in really good hands under a studio like Toys for Bob, especially, again, like they said, what they did with that trilogy, that Spyro trilogy, man, they really did their thing. I got to give it up to them. I would have loved to have seen what they could have done with, like I said, with, what is his name? I just said his name. I told y'all, man, my memory is shot. Banjo-Kazooie. I would have loved to have seen what they could have done with that, but it is what it is. Hopefully, this partnership will work with Microsoft. But I just wonder, again, why did they let him go? Could it have been a situation where keeping Toys for Bob, it would have just been too much money, and then they would have had to do even more layoffs? Maybe this was a way of Microsoft actually trying to avoid that kind of situation from happening, because I mean, again, we see it all through the industry, how bad things have gotten, over the last year. I mean, just this year alone, but going on the last 2 years, it's just been a massive exodus, or I should say firing, in the gaming industry. So maybe this was a way of them being able to keep Toys for Bob together, giving them their independence and letting them work on the games that they want to work on. Of course, like he said, this makes them more of a nimble studio, smaller, more nimble, and being able to, I guess pretty much work on the things that they want to work on. So hopefully this definitely works out for them. I look forward to seeing what they do in the future. And for Microsoft, I look forward to seeing what the heck are they going to do with Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, those kind of characters. So we'll see what happens further on down the road. But let's get on into the next story. This is just on a side note. Sifu is coming to PlayStation Plus this month. I actually got that story from PlayStation Blog. So yeah, what's this next story? Okay, this next story I got is from Game Industry Biz. So this next story is both interesting and hopeful. So according to reports, Embracer Group, man, oh man, here we go again, is getting ready to sell off Saber Interactive to a private investor group for up to $500 million. Now, granted, Embracer did buy them for $525 million, so they will be possibly losing around $25 million or more on this alleged deal. But the great news in this story is Jason Schreier is reporting that Saber Interactive will continue developing the remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Man, hit that button a little early. That's good news, though. I thought that game was dead. So they are definitely picking up the rings for that. Knights of the Old Republic was such an amazing game on the original Xbox. I was so pumped up to see them actually bringing this back, but then it got canceled from, I think their name was Aspire Media. I think it was spelled ASPY, Aspire Media. So they took the rings from them. And the report said that happened back in 2022. So they're going on 2 years working on this game. Working on Knights of the Old Republic. But the studio was also set to release Warhammer Space Marine 2, John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. God darn. I remember that cartoon back in the 90s. And he had a movie, had a couple of movies that used to come on. What was it, like Showtime? Cinemax. Oh, Cinemax. If you were there in the 90s, hey, man, it's PG, brother. We ain't going to say too much. I'm going to keep it moving. God, dog. But yeah, used to come on Cinemax back in the day. But let me see, Toxic Commando and the Expeditions, which is like a Mud Runner game. All of those games are going to be releasing this year. But hopefully this deal does go through. I know that Embracer Group, they definitely bit off a little bit more than they could chew. I think it was because a deal, I think it was in Saudi Arabia somewhere. I forgot who it was, but it was some investors that were supposed to, put some money into the pot. And unfortunately, that deal fell through. So as a result, definitely left them in a bad spot. So they're going to be getting rid of these guys. And hopefully, like I said, wherever they land, hopefully this new place where they land at, Saber Interactive, hopefully they'll be able to continue business as usual and get that Knights of the Old Republic game out to the public. Because I'm telling you, that bad boy is going to sell. I will definitely be picking that up on day one. But let's go ahead and let's get into the next story. Well, before we get into the next story, have any of you guys even heard of Toxic Commando, a game by John Carpenter? Man, I mean, what the world is this going to be about? Toxic Commando, I would tell you, man, I used to really like those movies, man. I know they were cheesy, they were terrible, but I really enjoyed them though, man. So I'm interested to see what kind of direction they're going to go in with Toxic Commando. I have no idea. But anyway, look, let's get into the next story because we're about to be wrapping this up in just a little bit. But this next story I got from Xbox Wire. So let's shift over to some actually, this is great news for certain Xbox fans. So Xbox, Best Buy, Paramount, Game Studios, and Game Mill have teamed up to bring us a custom special edition bundle Xbox Series X Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 bundle that will only be available for purchase through the Best Buy mobile app. Now, the console itself is a custom designed SpongeBob SquarePants inspired console design. Oh, he's ready. He is ready. Now, it will also include a custom controller featuring Gary, Mr. Krabs, and Squidward, and a digital copy of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. Now, it'll be available for purchase on Thursday, March 7th, 2024, starting at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the price of this joker right here. Now, I want you to know this is a 1 terabyte hard drive, okay? It's not like they added even a 2 terabyte in this version of the console. This console is retailing for $699.
This man!
$699. I'm like, oh my gosh. Now, granted, I'm not going to tell too many lies here. I saw the SpongeBob Xbox console and I said, well, I mean, I was a fan of SpongeBob. I mean, good grief on him, Mr. Krabs, doggone Squidward, Patrick Star. I dug the cartoon. So when I saw it, I was like, man, this Joker looks pretty good. I mean, I could see myself possibly buying this, but when I saw that $700 price tag, I said, oh man, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. So for any of y'all that are rich, because $700, God dog, that's a lot of money. If you have the money and the means, definitely buy this through the Best Buy app. And if you buy it, man, please tell me about it. I want you to call in, write in, get in contact with me, because I want to know if this thing if it has sound effects in it. Does it light up or something? I need to know, why is this thing $700? Now, granted, it's a 1 terabyte. It does have the custom design. I get that. Has a custom controller, and it comes with the game. But that's it. It doesn't come with any more bells and whistles. It's $700. That's the thing. Now, see, I can't be too upset, though, because I have, and that would be unfair on my part to do that to Xbox, because I have been one that has said constantly when they've brought out dope. I mean, these dope consoles that you could only win. You couldn't buy them. You had to win it. Getting into a contest to win one or something like that. They never would sell them. I mean, they had a Tomb Raider at one point in time. Well, a Tomb Raider console, Xbox One. Thought that thing was dope. They weren't selling it. They had a Cuphead Xbox One. That thing looked really good. I was like, man, I would buy that. They wouldn't sell it. They had a Porsche Xbox One. At one point in time, it was like a Forza one. They wouldn't sell that. I'm like, dang, man, I'm tired of y'all having these dope consoles, but y'all won't sell them. These dope custom consoles, but y'all say you gotta win it. It's only one of a kind. I'm like, man, darn all that. Just tell me a price and let me decide if I want to buy it or not. Now, it's SpongeBob, and I can't even be mad because I am a SpongeBob fan. They're selling this, and now I'm getting mad because it's $700. I'm the definition, unfortunately, of you can't win. You can't win. You can't win. It's like, okay, you give me what I want, but now the price point is too high. Oh, man, I'm terrible. But for me, that's just so high, though. I can't do it. Not for SpongeBob. Now, granted, we all have what I would say everybody has the ceiling, right? Now look, you take SpongeBob off of there. You put something like, I don't know, what's a game that I really, really love on Xbox? I mean, something like even Gears of War. Like I said, if they had sold that Cuphead Xbox One in the store, I would have probably had to bite the bullet. For $700, I would have, it's crazy, but I would have probably tried to muster up the money for something like that, you know? So, again, though, the point is they do have a custom, they do have a custom console out there. It's SpongeBob. If you're interested, pick it up, man. I'm only laughing because I'm saying to myself, man, you know, they did something I've been wanting them to do for years. It is dope, but then I'm mad at the price. Oh, man, it's terrible. Well, any of y'all picking this up, man, let me know if any of you guys out there, any of you brothers and sisters say, you know what, I went to the Best Buy app. Kiaun, I ate that $700. That $700 wasn't nothing. Picked up two of them, one for me and one for my spouse. It's $700. You tripping on $700. Kiaun, I spend that in the evening. I'm looking for y'all, man. I'm looking for y'all to call in and tell me if this is something that you did. But anyway, man, we're about to wrap this thing up. I think we got, darn, man, seemed like I wrote a couple extra stories here. God dog, we ain't about to wrap nothing up. Hold on. Okay, so let's move on to the next story, though. I got this one from, this is True Achievement. So, oh, shucks, this actually happened today. Okay, well, I'll say it anyway. This is some more great news, some more great Xbox news. Actually coming up, this happened today, March 6th, having at 10 a.m. Pacific time and 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Xbox Partner Preview show was actually on today. It said that they were going to have Capcom as well as EA, who have both been confirmed to be there. And Microsoft has said, quote, more than a dozen new trailers, quote, end of quote, will be shown. It also appears the show will be no more than 30 minutes long. So you can watch this on Xbox's YouTube channel, but I'm sure that IGN covered it, GameSpot covered it, as well as any other gaming outlets, you know, of that size. So hopefully, I haven't seen this yet, so hopefully it was a good show. Capcom being there, that is interesting. Crazy thing about Capcom, now, this was something I didn't write down, but with all of these layoffs and things happening, Capcom actually said they're going to be increasing their staff by 25% over in Japan. So, I mean, darn, kudos to them. All gone. Ali, them jokers been really budgeting the books over there. Shout out to them. But let's get into the next story. So this other story I got was from GameSpot. I just mentioned them. So we found out last week that EA, they canceled the Star Wars Mandalorian game. Oh, that hurt. Being developed by Respawn, as well as laying off over 670 people. And they said they're also going to be stepping back from licensing, like licensed games as well, licensed properties, as it were. But one piece of good news coming out of EA allegedly is another game being developed by Respawn Entertainment, according to Jeff Grubb, who said game director Steve Fukuda is leading a team working on a new game in the Titanfall universe. Now, Grubb said, quote, but everyone I talk to keeps saying, well, it's not, don't get in your mind that it's Titanfall 3. Like a game with online multiplayer and a single player campaign. End of quote. Let me read that again. He said, quote, but everyone I talk to keeps saying, well, it's not. Don't get in your mind that it's Titanfall 3, like a game with online multiplayer and a single player campaign. Okay, end of quote. So that's why at the intro, I was like, it's a Titanfall-esque type of game because it's not necessarily Titanfall 3. But the thing is, he said it does the other thing that Jeff Grubb said on Twitter. He said, quote, okay, it's not Titanfall 3, but it does seem like it will involve Titans in some way. End of quote. So that's why, again, we're not sure what this game is going to be. It looks like it's going to be taking maybe some elements of Titanfall and including it into whatever this game is going to be, but they're not officially calling it Titanfall 3. Now, the only reason why, well, it's not the only reason. It's interesting news, but I will say this. Jeff Grubb, I mean, a lot of these guys, they say they're insiders. They say they know a lot of, people in the industry. They know that this is happening or that's going on over there, or PlayStation is actually releasing this in 2 months. And never right. But the thing about Jeff Grubb, this dude, man, again, I've said it probably a couple of episodes ago. Jeff Grubb, this guy's proved himself time and time again. So when he says something, I definitely take a little bit more heed to it, that it could be true. So only time will tell, though, if this is going to happen. But if they had to cancel that Star Wars Mandalorian game, and this is the game that we will actually get from Respawn Entertainment in its place, I don't think too many people would be upset about that trade-off. Even though it's not Titanfall 3, but it is Titanfall-esque. I think we would all love a sequel to Titanfall 2, but since that doesn't seem to be happening, if this is the consolation prize to them canceling the Star Wars Mandalorian game and not giving us an official Titanfall 3, then I think this has the potential, I would say, to be something big, especially with Vince Impella and, again, Respawn Entertainment on it. That's a winning recipe. So hopefully this game will actually see the light of day. And I believe that it was another game by EA. It was a Star Wars game. I think it was a RTS. I didn't write this down. I'm just going off of my memory. I think a RTS game, they said that game is still being developed. That didn't get shut down. So that is really, really good news, especially with the amount of bad news. 670 people getting laid off from EA. This could actually be a positive, not the people getting laid off being a positive thing, but I'm just looking back at this story with them actually stepping back from licensed properties. This could give them a really good chance to dig back into some of their old catalog. If they're going to start depending on themselves and not these licenses, mainly being Star Wars for the most part with EA. Outside of the college football, I think they said they got like 10,000 athletes to sign up for that. I think they paid them like $600 to use their likeness. I'm like, wow, it's not a lot of money. But when you got thousands of players, that can add up. The 600 can add up pretty quickly. But with them having to possibly go back to their old franchises and, actually having to build off of those instead of concentrating on licensed properties, I think that could do wonders, man. I would love to see a new Need for Speed. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Not Need for Speed. Why am I gonna sit up here and lie like that? Not Need for Speed. I can't say that, brothers and sisters. But maybe something along the lines of Dead Space. I would love to see a new Dead Space, EA. How about that for a change? Something that you haven't dug into for a while. Bring that back and maybe make that work. But again, we'll see about this TitanFall-esque type of game as the months and the years go on. Hopefully we'll find something out. But I'm getting real long-winded, man. Let me move on to the next story. Get y'all out of here. I got this other story from GameSpot as well. This ain't much. This is for anyone that is interested. Baldur's Gate 3 is getting a physical release in the first week of April for Xbox Series X and S. Now, the date slipped from March 25th, so you don't look for it then. But it was also confirmed by, Larium. That's the studio, by Larium's director of publishing, Michael Dowse, that, quote, the Xbox retail version of Baldur's Gate 3 will indeed have 4 discs, since we're 500 megabytes over the limit for 3. Only option would have been to cut some content out, but that didn't make sense. So confirming 4, updating here. End of quote. God darn. How the heck big is Baldur's Gate 3? 4 disc. Blu-ray disc. God darn. That's a whole lot, man. Shoot. So any of you guys that are like me, that really enjoy physical copies, man, be on the lookout for Baldur's Gate 3 and get ready to be getting up a lot too. 4 discs, man. Oh man, that's, God darn, that's a lot. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I think, had that many discs. That stuff is crazy, man. I'm thinking of it from a digital standpoint. That is one thing that I never really thought about up until this moment. Having a game all digital, you don't have to get up to change the disc. You just keep going and going till the game is over. I mean, that is a bit of a perk. I mean, but for me, nothing beats the physical copy. And I even understand that people say the disc is blank. Kiaun, it has nothing on the disc. If they want to cut the game off, they can cut it off. Doesn't matter if you have the disc. I understand that and I get it. But I still want my darn disc, doggone it, man. Like, let me have a good time. Shoot, with my physical games. But let me go on and move on though, because we are getting ready to be past an hour. But I got this next story from Dual Shocker. So yeah, this is something. So it looks like WB is going through some growing pains and are shifting their focus. So during a Morgan Stanley speaking event, president of global streaming and games at WB, Gene Bryak, Peretti, I believe that's his name, Peretti. He said they will be focusing on they're going to be focusing on 4 main IPs, which are Mortal Kombat, the DC Universe, Game of Thrones, and Harry Potter. Now, we also said they want to expand more into the mobile. This is the part that I was like, this is a head scratch. Okay. All right. I get it. Okay. You're going to concentrate on 4 IPs, Mortal Kombat, the DC Universe, because if I'm not mistaken, a Wonder Woman game is supposed to be coming out one of these days soon, hopefully, and it looked good too. The Game of Thrones, that kind of threw me off a little bit. I didn't know they had anything to do with Game of Thrones. But then Harry Potter. Harry Potter was a humongous success. The first game to outsell Call of Duty in like over a decade or something like that. So I can understand you want to concentrate on those 4 games. I get it. You're not trying to expand out much more. That made me wonder, though, what's going to happen with them and CD Projekt Red? Because didn't CD Projekt Red, didn't they actually publish Cyberpunk 2077? I don't know. That's going to be, I guess, something for another day to discuss. But with this, I'm like, okay, concentrate on the four IPs. I get that. But when he said that they also want to expand more into the mobile and free to play market, and that they're pretty much doubling down on live service games, I said, wait a minute, hold on. Now that's the situation that you're finding yourself in a bad light when it comes to Suicide Squad. Nobody wants these gas games implemented into games that are supposed to be single player. Now, for me, again, I will say for myself, it doesn't bother me at all. I play through the campaign, nothing more, nothing less. So I'm not one of these people that, out the gate or off the rip, I see that it's a gas game and I'm like, man, that's trash, that's bogus, that's garbage. I'm not going to play that. Nah. If it's a fun game and has a single player campaign, man, count me in, and I'll just judge it off of the merits of how good the game actually is, not prejudging it because it's a gas game. But not all gamers are thinking that way, because good gosh, these jokers lost a lot of money when it came to Suicide Squad. So much so, again, that they are changing their whole playbook because of it. But they're not changing their playbook to a certain degree because they want to concentrate on mobile and free to play games. They want to concentrate on that market. And it's a head scratcher because Harry Potter, the game that sold the most, the game that you saw the most success with, had one thing that neither Gotham Knights had and that Suicide Squad didn't have. Well, they had it, but Harry Potter didn't have it. And that was the gas games model. Harry Potter was a single-player game, single-player focused. That was the premise of the game, and it's your best-selling game thus far. But yet you want to continue to try to dibble and dabble in this mobile market. And I get it. I understand that these companies, they need to have a constant stream of income coming in. I mean, even from the Tekken 8, man, what was he, an executive producer or something? But the Tekken 8 gentleman, he even said that for them, being online, that stuff costs money. And through the transactions, the microtransactions, they're able to keep that stuff online. They're able to keep it going. So I get that these guys, they need to have some constant revenue to come in to help with these updates, to help with the maintenance of the game and all of that stuff. But I just don't know I don't know how good this strategy is going to work out for them, I guess is what I'm saying, especially since you're struggling with this model as it is. But we'll see what happens with this in the near future. I'm just baffled, though. I just don't know. But you never know until you know. I mean, this might be a very, very successful thing for them sometime down the line, but only time will tell. But let's get into these last two stories. The first one out of the two, I got it from Loadout. So if you are looking forward to Rise of the Ronin and you kind of need to figure out how much hard drive space you're going to need to free up, this thing is huge, man. You're going to need to free up 96.343 gigabytes of hard drive space. God, dog, almost 100 gig. These games are out of freaking control. God, dog. And I'm gonna tell you, man, Rise of Ronin, that game don't even look that good. This game must be huge. This game gotta have a huge world. Almost 100 gigs. You figure you get 2 or 3 updates, man. You had 100 gigabytes, man. A hard drive space, brother. 100 gigs. Oh my gosh. Let me see, what else did I write here? Oh yeah, according to PlayStation Game Size, you'll be able to preload the game on Friday, March 15th. Yeah, man, you're going to erase like two full games and probably even a smaller game to get it right. Oh man, who's this? Oh man, professional production, man. That's that, man. I got to wrap this up, doggone it. All right, man. Let's get to this last story, man. I got this from Polygon. So Xbox Design Lab has announced the new Fallout themed customization option, which features a collage of different iterations of Vault Boy. So in order to buy this custom design, it will cost $5 more than other custom designs do. So I think this is to actually help promote the Fallout TV show. That's launching, I think, April 12th, if I'm not mistaken. So, but getting back to the price, though, it will cost a minimum of $85 to buy this controller. So if any of you guys want to go out there, and, guys and gals want to go out there and get yourself a Fallout controller custom joint, be ready to spend $85 to get that done. I'm getting a phone call again. Oh, man, I got it. I know I got to get to work. Oh, man, so with that being said, man, listen, I got to take this phone call. But in the meantime, while I'm taking this phone call, because I got to get ready to get out of here, you hear me scrambling with papers in the background. We're going to get into this week's video game theater. And in this week's video game theater, we're going to take a look back at February 5th, 2013 at Dead Space 3. Come on, EA, give us a Dead Space 4, god dog it. But the scene that we're going to be taking a look at is where Isaac finds out why he is under attack. This Joker meets Earth's Gov's last battalion. So let's get into that, and we will be back after this week's video game theater with our final section of the podcast. Stay tuned, guys.
Okay, I said I'd help you. Now where's Ellie? How long has she been missing?
Just shut up and get over here. We'll explain later.
Brother. Hey, who the hell are you guys?
Earth Gov's last battalion. Name's Norton. Captain Robert Norton. Sergeant John Carver.
Last battalion? What do you mean?
Last means last, genius, as in no more left. Looks clear.
No more left.
That's all right. Let's go. Take cover! Go!
Norton, these are unitologists. Why are they trying to kill us?
You! They're trying to kill you!
What?
Just get out of there and shut your trap.
Son of... Why are these fanatics after me?
You've destroyed markers in the past, Isaac. That makes you a direct threat to their plan.
Plan?
Some end-time prophecy based on the markers.
Convergence?
Yeah, Ellie thinks you can stop it.
So now she's missing and they followed you here?
Yes, now get to the roof of the Dredger Corp building. There's an extraction team waiting.
I've hit the freeway.
Then cross it.
They're unmanned transports. They don't stop for anything. I've still got my stasis unit. I'll slow the traffic and get across.
Oops.
Dead Space 3. Man, I was a huge fan of that game. I know a lot of y'all weren't, though. Man, I know that game got a lot of hate from so many people. But that's what I'm saying. It's just best to play a game for yourself. Don't listen to everybody. Oh, man. According to everybody, I should have hated Dead Space 3. I loved it. It's the reason why to this day, I've actually bought the original Dead Space because people spoke so highly of the game. Oh, it was amazing. It was great. So I'm saying to myself, if they said that was great and the Dead Space 3 was just so terrible, then I definitely got to check out Dead Space 1. Still haven't yet. I got the remake upstairs, still untouched in the plastic, but I'm going to get to it. But anyway, let's get into the final section of the podcast, which is when I ask you guys a question. No, y'all guys already saw the question, and I appreciate that you clicking on the episode, but let's go over it officially. So is gaming exclusivity over? That's the question I would like to ask you guys, because we just found out Ghost of Tsushima, I believe that's coming to PC sometime in May. You got, hold on. Matter of fact, because I do have to get out of here, but let's see. When is Ghost of Tsushima coming to PC?
May 16th. According to The Verge, this time, it's the director's cut of the samurai drama Ghost of Tsushima, which is launching on PC on May 16th.
So there you go. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima is coming over there. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before The Last of Us 2 is coming. Matter of fact, I think Horizon Forbidden West is coming. Let me see. When is Horizon Forbidden West coming to PC?
March 21st.
Right.
According to Guerrilla Games. On behalf of the teams at Guerrilla and Nixes, we are looking forward to bringing Aloy's latest adventure to a new audience on PC on March 21st.
Ah, darn, that's a couple days. I didn't know it was that darn close. So yeah, PC is eating good right now. Excuse me, off of PlayStation games. We know that they've been eating good off of Xbox games. And we do understand though. Now, this is where it might be a bit of a wrench in this question, because we do know that Nintendo, they are still exclusive. If you want to play their games, you have to get a Nintendo product in order to play those games. Whereas with PlayStation and Xbox, you can go to PC. So that can put a little bit of a riffle in there. But the question does remain, is gaming exclusivity over? Because it's people, you leave it up to them. They're saying that Nintendo is going to do the same thing. They're going to go, not third party as it were, but they're going to spread the love over to the PC. I don't know about that. Nintendo, they already got somebody in court over something about the, I'm all tongue. I feel like I'm in court right now. Darn. They got them in court for not being able to, but pirating like 1 million copies of, I think it was Zelda Breath of the Wild, somewhere around there, something like that. So I'm just thinking, if they put their stuff on PC, they think they were getting pirated right now. God dog, you put your stuff on PC, Nintendo. Oh no, you might be in for a rude awakening. But we'll see, man. I don't think that Nintendo is in a rush. These guys are selling 30 and 40 million copies of a game on their platform. When you got those kind of numbers, you don't need to expand out much, so plus their culture is different over at Nintendo. I think when they needed to make cuts, one of their CEOs, he actually took the cut. I mean, the gentleman, he's passed away now, but instead of laying off the talent, the upper management took the cut. Because their thinking was, look, if we get rid of the talent, then we're going to suffer. Our games are going to suffer. And if our games suffer, then our bottom line is going to suffer. So, yeah, I mean, man, God, dog, shout out to that man. I mean that. Oh, man. Shout out to him. That was just dope. So, their culture is just different when it comes to the dollar amount. They really value their their talent over there. And I'm not saying that that PlayStation and Xbox don't, but I mean, God dog, they got a heck of a way of showing it, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, Insomniac, they dug y'all through the trenches all these years and still gonna lay them off? God darn. But anyway, I've been long-winded enough this episode. I've been out of sorts this episode. So I just want to get you guys' opinion on this. If you want to be a part of the conversation, call in at 443-380-0281 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is the analogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. God dog, 6:42 p.m. I got to get the heck out of here soon. So with that being said, before we end it and wrap it up and put that bow on it, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the game. So Sunday, we're going to be back at it again with another episode, and I look forward to seeing you guys. So with that being said, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.